What's good with you, YouTube? Retaliating here, back with another video. And in today's video, we got a cool card to talk about, which is Retaliating C. Now, with Retaliating C, I've been seeing this a lot, and we're gonna find out, is it really correct to side deck Retaliating C versus the Yummy matchup or the Mitsurugi matchup? So let's go ahead and review my first match. And actually this match I actually sided in versus against my opponent, so let's go ahead and see what happens with that. Also, shout outs to the Chips Ahoy chewy chocolate chip cookies. I've been eating on those for the last couple of days. Those things were hype. So anyway, let's go ahead and hop into our replay here and showcase what our opponent did here. All right, so this is me going second. I have Harpy Feather Dusters, Bell, Marshmallow, Retaliating C, and Mitsurugi Ritual. And my opponent is on Pure Yummy. So let's just see what happens in this particular game. So he goes first. He starts off with the Marshmallow, which is, you know, pretty basic, pretty standard, right? Summoning Marshmallow. He goes into a Snatchy. Snatchy is going to place the Fill Spell. And Fill Spell is going to try to summon a Marshmallow. I go for the Bell here because I didn't really think of a better Bell spot. And plus I have Retaliating C, so it makes me put him on summoning like Cupsy. Cupsy searches a quick play, and then maybe he'll go for like a quick play and try to get value off my Retaliating C here, since he didn't start with the Mitsurugi cards. If he was on Mitsurugi, I made a hard read to see. But no, he's on Pure. So I got lucky here with the Bell and his extension, and we'll go over his hand in a very dear second, and we'll showcase how we could have prevented all this from happening and how he could have won this game in particular. But I go for the Bell, and very luckily he hard drew probably the worst card that he could have activated in this entire sequence, which is insane. So this cuts on my Retaliating C. So we go Retaliating C, and he brings back out his Marshmallow. So basically he's under Macrocosmos and everything is getting banished. And I can tell because when he got hit with a Retaliating C, he took like a full like 60 seconds to think about his sequencing. And there's a very correct way to beat Retaliating C and Yummy. So I'll showcase that, of course, after we review this. But my opponent he threw. You could tell he was never been in a situation before. So he goes into Cupsy, which is incorrect in this situation. Now I'll show you the correct way, which you should have done here. But he goes into Cupsy here, and Cupsy adding 2, and then banishing the cookie here. Then he goes special summon Cupsy effect, searching Lollipo, and then Lollipo, of course, no effect for some reason. And then he goes into the Ensemble Robin. For the Featherstorm play, he goes triple track to the thrust, setting up the Featherstorm, and he sets 2 and pass. And I can tell you right now, the other card that he set was Call by the Grave. So he didn't even call by the grave the Bell because he knew he could play around it, but got hit with Retaliating C and fumbled the bag. So this is how this rest of this game went, and it goes into a very long grind game because it's very funny. So it's my turn. I draw Bell for turn, and he goes for Featherstorm. So I'm like, okay. Of course, Cupsy ain't doing nothing to tag out because there's nothing in his graveyard, which is great for me. So I go ahead and hit him with the Harpies to see what this card was, and also banishing the minions. So sucks for him. So yeah, he has a lot of his resources just banished, which none of this should have been here. Realistically, none of it. But yeah, we took advantage of that. So we went ahead and, you know, put Retaliating C in attack mode, and then we beat over the Robin, which further banished a lot more of his resources. And if he's not on the other Fill Spell, he's cooked. Like, he's in a very bad spot here, you know what I'm saying? So I had a hard feeling that he probably wasn't on a Crookie. And I don't think he reveals that he's on a Crookie here, but it's just a really bad situation because he has like 1, 2, 3, 4 of his base monsters already gone, And if you're playing like, I don't know, like a small package of like 9, then he only has like 5 main top decks that he can get into. And without the fill spell, it makes his top decking a little weird. So he draws, and he drew, this is Ash, by the way. He drew Ash, and this is another Marshmallow here, because obviously I was in this replay. So he actually goes for SP Little Knight, which makes things a lot weirder here. So yeah, so he get rid of 2 more of his Cupsy or Yummy monsters and go for SP Little Knight. He doesn't banish, so he can just beat over for damage. And yeah, realistically, instead of going for the 200 damage here, it was probably better for him to banish it, because now if I play Contact C, then he has to deal with a Contact C. So it was just better for him to banish and not take the 200 life point deficit there. So yes, now he finally outs the Retaliating C, and we know the last card in hand is Ash, but I don't know that, right? So I draw Ash for turn, so I'm thinking like, I can technically get into my Mitsurugi lines here and just kind of sit on Habakiri, not Habakiri, can't even think of his name right now, Mirakumo. And of course Mirakumo is really good in these type of like in these situations where my opponent is basically on no cards. So we go into Marshmallow, and of course SP Little Knight is very hard checked by Snatchy here, because if I go Marshmallow make Snatchy, Snatchy place minions, he just go SP Little Knight banish my Snatchy, and I'm in a weird spot there. So I decided to go for the Habakiri Mitsurugi line, and unfortunately I was met with an Ash Blossom. So even worst case scenario, this was an Ash Blossom, I can still out the SP Little Knight with the Gravity Controller, and this can reset the Gravity Controller back into my extra deck, and it can come up in future plays. So I'm in a very good position here, just putting my opponent on better top deck a Yummy monster, or you're cooked. And you can't really top deck a Yummy monster. It has to be specifically Cupsy, because if he top deck any other one, he has no minions to go into. So he only has like 2 top decks here. So Gravity Controller beats over or bounce back the SP Little Knight here, and he draws a card. He passes. I draw. Luckily, I drew into one of my starters. And now we go play Yummy. So we go for Snatchy. Snatchy's going to place the Fill Spell, and then Fill Spell is going to get met with a Bell. So yeah, he's still in a very rough spot. He only has like 2 top decks here in the situation. And of course, if he's on Mitsurugi, he could top deck Habakiri or Prayers. But that all loses to Ash Blossom. So yeah, and then of course he loses legit next turn because I have minions set up here. So I do a little bit of damage here, passive, and I don't know what he drew, but wasn't good enough, and he just surrenders. So with all that being said and all that happening, could my opponent play differently? Could he have done something to prevent him from losing that game? And the answer to that question is yes. Yes, he could have. So let's go over and showcase what my opponent could have done. I simulated this, and what he could have done to prevent himself from losing this game. So this is a great teaching moment here. All right, so we're back here. Okay, so in this example, these are my 2 hand traps I opened with, and this is my opponent's hand. This is what he started off with. So let's showcase of what he could have done to play around Retaliating C, and I guess the lucky ghost spell that I drew, and everything just kind of panned out. So my opponent started off with the Marshmallow here, and then went into the Snatchy effect is going to place the minions here, and then minions is going to be met with the Mind Ghost spell. He chose not to call by the grave, which is fair because he could easily play around Bell here. He was probably saying this for like an Ash Blossom or something on the Cupsy. So he goes surprise. He gets met with the Retaliating C, bringing back the Marshmallow. So in this particular situation, what he should have did, instead of making a Cupsy here, he should have cut off the macro effect of the Retaliating C. Now, what he should have did was go into Cup C here. So you're supposed to synchro here and go straight into a Cup C. Cup C outs Retaliating C because it books a Moon It. And even if I flip it up on my next turn, the macro effect is going. It's just going. So there's no way that this card will be any more of a floodgate anymore. And he's good to go. So he goes Cookie here. Cookie Bookamuni the Retaliating C, which outs it. And then you link off into another Snatchy here. And then since you still have your normal summon, you go normal summon Marshmallow. And the Marshmallow goes into the Cupsy Yummy way. And then you set up this way. And since he added Cookie here, we're just going to simulate that he had a Cookie. And we'll discard a Cookie. Special summoning the Cupsy. Cupsy's going to search out the Lollipo. Summoning out the Lollipo. Lollipo shouldn't be shuffling back the Bell because Bell is good at the top deck. Which is funny, in the replay I did top deck Bell. And then here is either your third Snatchy or a Link Karibo, doesn't really matter. You just need to go into a Link 1. And then you turn those two into your Lollipo. Lollipo is going to bring out 2. And then since he went for the Robin play, you can still go into the Robin line here. And then go thrust into your Harpy's Featherstorm. And then set the Callbot Grave. And you are set up like a god. Like, this looks pretty much unwinnable for me, right? I have 3 cards in hand. Of course, you know, one of it was Harpy's Feather Duster, and Duster is not beating this setup at all. Like, this is just too much going on here, right? So yeah, I think my opponent would have won the game if he set up like this. And yeah, I don't see how I win at all, right? Because if you saw the replay before, my opponent had like 11 cards banished or something like that. Half his like engine was going, basically, right? Even his minions was going. Now, if I go Harpies, now he actually has targets that he can like tag into, and he has all 4 names in rotation. I don't know what 4 names he would have used in this situation. Definitely Marshmallow, because there's nothing really to return back off his effect. But maybe you could just use Cupsies here, I guess, so you can have like Lollipo and Cookie as interruptions when you tag out. But yeah, he would have been fine here, right? He would have probably like tagged this out for like a Snatchy plus Lollipo, banishing something, doesn't really matter, you know, whatever. Maybe it is Cupsies. Cupsy bring back draw card for follow-up and stuff like that, or search, doesn't really matter. But this was winning for him 1000%. No matter what I've opened, he would have won the game from this spot, and he would have been in a better position, and he would have won. So hopefully you guys can see that even in the worst case scenario, Retaliating C is not very good. And if the Yummy player sequence their lines perfectly, usually they don't activate surprise in a way where the Retaliating C comes up to be like a super bad interruption. Usually the surprise is later on in the turn, which you won't get any value for Retaliating C. Retaliating C is really good in the matchups where you can get the card off early. Maybe in matchups like Lunar Light or Draco Tail, things of that nature. And now I'm going to showcase you guys what it looks like when you do this versus Mitsurugi. So, okay. So we're back, and now we have Retaliating C versus Mitsurugi, and let's just do the prayers line and see how this pans out, right? And what you can do. So here we're gonna activate Mitsurugi prayers, and since it does have an effect to special summon a monster, Retaliating C can be activated here, and we're gonna search for a Habakiri. Then we're gonna use the effect of Habakiri. That's gonna get our Saji banished, and then that's gonna search out for our Mitsurugi prayers, or sorry, ritual. Then you could just go straight for summoning from the deck and then go on Mirakumo 2, Habakiri 1, and you still have like prayers plus Mirakumo, and this outs the Retaliating C, right? You can do that. But in this replay, I want to showcase what if you summon from the hand first. So this is like the most damage it could probably do here if you decide to go for this line. So you're going to go ahead and banish these 2 monsters from the deck. And we're going to Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, add back the ritual spell, and then we're going to add another Habakiri in this situation. We're gonna activate the ritual spell, and we're gonna summon a Mirakumo. Mirakumo is going to Regeki the Retaliating Sea, and I forgot to activate Habakiri here. I will add prayers later, but there is a prayers in your hand. Here it is. And then of course we're gonna out the Retaliating Sea. And then here we're gonna make our zombie vampire. And from here, if they're playing you know, the deck, right, the Yummy Mitsu deck, then they get the zombie vampire, and yes, you banish all their resources, which is pretty good for you. The problem is you hand loot yourself for one. They still got what they needed to do here. They still got prayers in the hand, so they still got the Mirakumo wipe, and they're going to most likely hit a Yummy monster from here. So this is my Sofa Core Yummy Mitsurugi deck. So here we're going to hit an Ash Blossom, a Droll, which still gets you to Yummy combo. We hit a Primora, and then we hit a Primora. So that's all going to get you to Yummy combo, and you're still boned. So yeah. Yeah, that's just tough, right? So very, very unfortunate for our opponent. So in conclusion, should you be siding Retaliating Sea versus Yummy Mitsu, or Mitsurugi or Yummy? The answer is no. If your opponent has a very good understanding on the game and is well prepared for that card is not going to catch them off guard. It's not a good strategy to do that unless you really have nothing to side deck versus that matchup. You just throw in some cards, you know, whatever. But no, the answer is you shouldn't be doing that, because Yummy has Cupsy, or they can go a Crookie pop the Retaliating Sea. But the reason why that's bad is because some people are on Contact Sea, which is not good in this format. It's not too bad because you can use it versus Dracotail. They go Branded Fusion, and you can hit them with Contact Sea, and it kind of locks them out of like linking that card off the board, which is like whatever. But I've seen multiple people Retaliating Sea me, and it doesn't end good for them. And the fun fact too, since it's a Macrocosmos effect, and the card I'm scared of the most is Droll, it cuts off the Droll. So sometimes if I'm daring enough, I can get all my searches underneath the Retaliating Sea first, and then out the Retaliating Sea by using Book of Moon or the Cookie effect. And if they're on Yummy, then great. Now their Marshmallow is no longer a special summon, it's a normal summon now. So it's a lot of layers to the card where it can come up to be very bad. My answer is don't do it. That's the key for that. So all right, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was pretty informational. I would love to do more of these type of like, what if you do these in type of such a, you know, scenarios and situations. So let me know how you guys feel about Retaliating Sea in the meta. It's really good versus Dracotail. I think it's mainly for that and Lunar Light, but not for Mitsurugi Yummy. So don't do it. It's not very good. All right, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.